Entrepreneurs, you must see failure as the beginning and the middle, but never entertain it as an end. Don't get distracted by telling yourself that you need to be the biggest brand in the whole world. Set manageable targets. Words from founder and CEO of Stella and Dot, Jessica Herron. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I am Theodore Henry. We have an interesting show lined up just for you, so stay tuned. The Development Bank of Jamaica can help you, yes, develop and upgrade your agricultural, agro-industrial, information technology, manufacturing, or tourism enterprise. Find out more next.
Welcome to Get the Facts, a program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. The Development Bank of Jamaica, the DBJ, is a government-owned institution. It facilitates financing for businesses and projects geared towards economic growth and development. This is done through a wide range of programs and services. My guest is Managing Director Milverton Reynolds, who will tell us all about these processes. So welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about what we do at the DBJ.
Yes, it's good to have you. Let's start with a brief overview of the DBJ.
Okay, well, first of all, as you have mentioned, we are a wholly owned government institution. And the DBJ is really a merger of a number of financial institutions. So the Agricultural Credit Bank merged with the National Development Bank and formed the Development Bank of Jamaica. And then in 2007, the National Investment Bank of Jamaica was merged into the Development Bank of Jamaica, and that is the DBJ that we have today.
Yes. Tell us about the core functions.
Okay, as you mentioned, our mission is to facilitate economic growth and development, and we do this in a number of areas. So we have our financing program, which provides financing to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. We also do financing to large projects as well. And we of course have our capacity development program, which facilitates MSMEs.
Yes, yes.
And of course our venture capital program, which provides private equity for those businesses that are not yet ready for loan financing. And finally, our public-private partnerships program. Those are the core areas through which we facilitate economic growth and development. And I can go into each.
Let's talk about them now, yes. Okay. Let us start with the microfinancing.
Okay, microfinance. In 2009, we were asked by the administration to intervene in the microfinance sector, because what was happening there was micro-entrepreneurs were borrowing money at exorbitant rates from loan sharks. So we decided to intervene. And we went about it by accrediting a number of microfinance institutions. Today we have 12 such institutions. Yes. And we established guidelines, regulations, made sure that the microfinance institutions that were accredited had the necessary capacity, the management skills to lend to the micro entrepreneurs. So we would provide funding to microfinance institutions, and then they would lend to micro entrepreneurs.
All right, tell me who you're calling a micro entrepreneur.
It's a really a small business person.
Right.
Person with we classify them. I think it's income of less than 15. Sales of less than $15 million. And these are, as I said, small business persons who really would not want to, or who might not want to go into a normal financial institution to borrow, because of course, you know, the formality of it, but are quite happy borrowing from a microfinance institutions. And I could add that since we started this program in 2009, we have to date made available over $9 billion in financing to micro entrepreneurs. It has really been quite a significant program for us.
Definitely.
And it includes micro institutions such as Jamaica National Small Business Access Financing are some of the institutions to which we make microloans.
So these 13 institutions that you've accredited, tell us how the micro entrepreneur, how do they go about accessing the funds?
Well, they would go into these micro
directly,
yes, the microfinance institutions and borrow from them.
Yes.
We do have a stipulation in terms of the interest rates that are charged from microloans.
Yes.
And but as I said, normally micro entrepreneurs will just go in and access the funding from the microfinance institutions.
But we know that these small business persons usually complain that, boy, they don't have any business plan, they don't have this. I'm thinking now that your capacity development program is what would help them.
Yes. And if I could just step back a little bit in answering these questions. So as I mentioned before, we provide financing to small and medium-sized enterprises through approved financial institutions, such as the commercial banks. We actually have 24 institutions that are so accredited, approved microfinance institutions.
This is aside from the 13.
Yes, those are microfinance. These are regular financial institutions. The commercial banks, for example, would qualify here. So we wholesale funds through these institutions, meaning that we don't lend directly to a micro, small, or medium-sized enterprises. And the reason for that is really quite obvious and quite simple. The commercial banks have the capacity to lend to small and medium-sized enterprises. For us to lend directly, and this is a complaint that we have had from a number of small and medium-sized enterprises, is why doesn't the DBJ lend directly? Why do we have to go through the banks? The truth is, we are not in the business to compete with the banks. Secondly, and I think importantly, we would then have to put in place the capacity to be able to lend to small and medium-sized enterprises, and that would require significant capital, significant expansion in staff, etc. So we lend through the approved financial institutions, and our loans are at concessionary rates. So what we have found is that, okay, small and medium-sized businesses sometimes are not able to access financing because they don't have the necessary, or they don't meet the necessary qualifications. So that they're not registered, they don't have financial statement, they don't have a business plan, they don't have a marketing plan.
And that's where your capacity
and
development.
that's where our capacity development program comes in. So we have what we call a voucher program, where a small business can access a voucher, and it's done online. They can go on our website, and we have a portal there. They can access a voucher to provide the particular service that they need from what we call our business service providers. And we have qualified a number of organizations who provide these services.
So we're going to take a short break now, and we'll return with more information on the Development Bank of Jamaica's programs and services, which are to drive economic growth and development among businesses. Stay with us.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We continue our discussion with Milverton Reynolds, who is Managing Director of the Development Bank of Jamaica, the DBJ. Mr. Reynolds, let's talk now about other services that you provide aside from those you give to the MSMEs.
Yes. As you can imagine, it's a major part of our strategy,
the MSMEs.
Sorry, the MSMEs,
yes,
and as is widely said, and it's true, they are in fact the engine of growth for the economy, hence the focus. But in addition to our lending to MSMEs, I should mention we do lend to large organizations as well, and we have made loans to large companies in the productive sector. In addition, we do some direct lending for strategic purposes. So currently, we were asked to look at how could we finance the BPO, the business process outsourcing, otherwise known as the call center sector. Because clearly, this is a sector that generates a lot of jobs and in fact can help to create growth in the economy. So we have put in place a facility where we have been lending directly to the builders of these facilities. So they would develop the facility for the call centers to operate in. And for that, we lend directly. To date, we have lent some 71 million US dollars, creating almost 1 million square feet of space, which will employ some 21,000 persons in that particular sector. So yes, we do other lending other than lending to MSMEs.
So you said this is direct lending.
This is direct lending.
The persons don't have to go to the bank.
And it's very specific. As I said, we do that for specific sectors, as in discussions with our portfolio minister.
And this is also at a smaller interest rate, lower.
Yes, the interest rates are very concessionary. The terms are also very concessionary, which are necessary to enable the sector to grow and to create the jobs that we need.
Are there other facilities?
Yes, and I want to mention the fact that we are the government's agency that handles public-private partnerships and privatization. It's a very major program at the DBJ. As is widely known, the government has decided, rightly so I think, that there are assets which the government and services which the government really should not provide, do not need to provide, and are best handled and dealt with by the private sector. So the DBJ is the government's public-private partnership agency and also responsible for divestments and privatizations. And we are very well structured in this regard. As a matter of fact, we are recognized in the region as being number 4 in the Caribbean and Latin American region. And we have done a number of very successful divestment and public-private partnerships. I can mention the more recent ones. The Port of Kingston. The services were divested very, very successfully. We recently completed the Norman Manley International Airport as well as a public-private partnership, very, very successful. And in terms of divestment, we recently divested the Wigton wind farm, which was done through the stock exchange. A very important point to make here is that not only should the government not be involved in providing these services, but the kind of investments that are required for these facilities to continue to operate, the government would not have the resources to do so. So you take, for example, the port. There was a requirement for some over 400 million US dollars for the expansion of the port, which is happening now, having divested the services to the private sector. Similarly, for Norman Manley, the airport, there is a program there for over 110 million US dollars to expand and modernize the facility there as well. Wigton Wind Farm, there's going to be need for further capital development in that particular facility. Again, the government would have difficulty finding the funding to do that. It's best done by the private sector who have the capital and who are, in the final analysis, able to manage it more efficiently and effectively.
Right, so you do the search for buyers for these?
Yes, we do. We do the whole process.
Yes.
We work with the agent, the ministry or agency that owns the asset. We put in place what we call an enterprise team, which consists of all of the necessary skill set to ensure the successful carrying out of the project. And then we engage transaction advisors to provide the services that are needed to make sure at the end of the day that we get the best value for money. And that's something that we are very, very focused on, that when we divest these assets, when we divest these services, that we get the best value for money.
And you're doing a pretty good job at it.
I would like to think so, yes.
Thank you so very much for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.
If you need financial or technical assistance to grow your business, contact the Development Bank of Jamaica at 876-929-4000 and speak with an agent. You may also visit their website at dbankjm.com to learn more about their products and services. This has been Get the Facts with our guest, Milverton Reynolds, Managing Director of the Development Bank of Jamaica. To watch this program again, log on to our social media handle, YouTube/WatchJIS. You may also stay connected to our website at gis.gov.jm for more information. Until next time, I'm Anthros Campbell. Take good care.
Jamaica, among the top 10 most improved economies in the world. That's right, our island's business environment has advanced to the extent that the World Bank has noticed. The multilateral agency has named Jamaica one of the most improved economies globally in which to do business in its newly released Doing Business Report 2016. This ranking is attributed to Jamaica's implementation of 4 major reforms over the past year. Investors have noticed too and are coming on board. So let's continue to work together to make Jamaica the place of choice to do business.
The Microcredit Act was drafted to regulate the persons or institutions that provide microcredit services. The law demands that these individuals or entities be licensed by the responsible regulatory authority. Listen closely as Minister Floyd Green tells us more.
The Microcredit Act was tabled in Parliament by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark in February. It is intended to regulate microcredit service providers by ensuring they're licensed by the designated regulatory authority. It also requires microcredit service providers to keep proper accounting and other records and make timely reports to that authority. State Minister in the Industry and Commerce Ministry, Floyd Green, says the Act undertakes a 3-goal approach of effectiveness.
The first goal is to see to the growth of the sector, because we believe to grow any sector, there has to be a system of rules that the players understand that this is how they participate in the sector. And every time you formalize, regulate, put in place rules that everybody has to play by, once it is done in an inclusive fashion, the sectors grow. The other goal of the microcredit bill will be to ensure that our consumers are protected. The reality is that in any relationships of this nature, right across all the services that are provided in finance, there must be an avenue through which government seeks to protect its consumers. And the third goal, I would say, is to ensure that we weed out those in the industry who do not mean well, who are not playing by fair rules. Those are the 3 goals, and I think all of us are aligned around those goals.
Bacteria we can't stop fight. Antibiotics, take them right. Antibiotics. Come let me tell you how to take them right. Only take them from professionals with medical credentials. Do not share them with friends or relations. Use prescriptions, follow instructions. Take them till them done with no interruptions. Bad bacteria we can't stop fight. Antibiotics, take them right.
Brought to you by the UWI Mona, Ministry of Health, National Health Fund, PAHO WHO.
The Tourism Agri Linkages Exchange, or ALEX program, has helped more than 400 farmers market over 360,000 kilograms of agricultural produce. That's more than $39 million in sales. Let's learn more about how you can become part of this fruitful venture.
Many times we have so many things that we can't sell. We have, because sometimes all the farmers goes out and plant Irish potatoes, and it's too much. So what we do is just use the phone, same place in the field, get to them, and they try everything, and know before them, we only have spoilage. We can't sell. So no matter how it glut in the whole highland, they find a way to unload it.
Bye-bye farm produce glut. Alex is here to move farmers' produce onto the plates of visitors to our shores.
The Agri Linkages Exchange Center, good afternoon.
It's not my...
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Wilson. What are you doing? Okay. So what do you have reaping now?
We have a portion of corn ready, you know.
Is that sweet corn? Okay, sir. Let me just add that to the database for you. How much corn are you reaping?
We have 12 dozen corn ready, you know.
What's the selling price? 120 per dozen?
So you can look the buyer for me anytime you're ready. You hear, boss?
Another problem, Mr. Willis. I'll post the information for you, and once the market is available, I'll give you a call and let you know. All right, Mr. Willis, thanks for calling.
As easy as that, farmers are reaping economic benefits through tourism. The Agri Linkages Exchange is an electronic platform where buyers and sellers of agricultural produce meet. Currently, there are agri-brokers who manage the platform. They operate from the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, St. Andrew office. It's a collaboration between the Ministries of Tourism and Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries. The center has raked in more than $50 million in sales for approximately 400 farmers across the country.
This program is dedicated specifically to the farmers, and what we were trying to solve was the fact that a number of our hotel, especially our hotel purchasing personnel, had difficulty getting produce that was in season, out of season, or even where they were located. So you'll find that particular fruits that will be in abundance in the eastern end of the island never ever gets to the west, and vice versa. For example, mangoes. Mangoes are very abundant in the east, and again, the west would love to have some of the fruits that we have in abundance at one place. So the Agri Linkages Exchange platforms would have been a link to ensure that both buyers and sellers meet. At this point, we have 55 hotels on it. We have 7 agro-processors. We have about 5 retail operators, but the retail are really large personnel. And each day is another day in which persons are added.
I was at a production and marketing meeting in my community where we were discussing glutton, where we can unload our produce. So one of the RADA extension officer recommended us to Alex. I just get my phone, get registered, and that's it. Since Alex, we have more in demand than supply. It's been so good for us, trust me.
There are farmers who might not be technologically savvy to actually go on the system themselves, so they'll call into the center and ask, and these agro-brokers will be able to put them on the system.
On a daily basis, I would say we get from maybe 20 calls per day or so from farmers. A lot of the calls that we do get, surprisingly, are farmers who are new to agriculture. They are curious about what Alex is about. Persons are now realizing that technology, agriculture, and production can all mix.
We supply and deliver produce, fruits, vegetables to hotels and restaurants. It's about 10 hotels that we supply on a weekly basis. Hotels that we supply, it's from small to large hotels. We found out about the Alex Center through a farmer. It is a very good initiative. On
a daily basis, we probably make contact with 20-30 buyers on behalf of our farmers, and they themselves, the buyers do call the center. Buyers request varied amount of quantity of produce depending on what the usage is. If it's for agro-processing or export, the volumes will range from as small as a small agro-processor may need 80 pounds of sorrel or 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 300 pounds, but then you have an exporter who will need 10,000 pounds of sweet potato, 15,000 pounds of pumpkin, 20,000 pounds of other produce. So the volumes vary depending on the usage. We walk with the farmers and we stay with them until the transaction is completed, until they're paid, until the goods are delivered.
Our hotels are interested in buying local produce. There's really no substitute for the produce that we actually produce here. If you were to import any of our grown provision, it wouldn't taste the same. And therefore, there's really no incentive for the hotels to be purchasing overseas. What we have not had from our local industry is exactly where it is and in what quantities. And Alex has been able to solve that mischief somewhat.
It's simple, man. Just get the phone or come down to the road where the office is, register with Alex, and that's it.
Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, celebrating over 20 years of investment in community development. JSIF has forged relationships with international funding partners as well as private and public sector entities. Let us continue to invest to reduce vulnerabilities. Let us build our social capital and resilient infrastructures to ensure full participation in Vision 2030. JSIF, investing for community development.
The oldest, the largest, the most dynamic agricultural show in the English-speaking Caribbean is being hosted from August 4 to 6 in Denbigh, Maypen, Clarendon. Yes, I'm talking about the Denbigh Agricultural Show. Come on out and experience displays by local and international exhibits, farmers market, National Farm Queen competition, and many other attractions. Children, don't feel left out. The Denbigh Show will have rides and other surprises just for you. Teenagers who are interested in a career in agriculture, this is definitely the place to be. First-hand knowledge from the experts. Jamaica, visit the 67th showcasing of the Denbigh Agricultural Show and witness the continued growth in industry, commerce, agriculture, and fisheries, all under one roof. The Denbigh Agricultural Show, bringing hope to Jamaica's youth. Thanks for watching another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Join us again tomorrow when we'll do this all over again. Send your feedback on today's show to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. Also, you can follow us on our social media pages, that's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Download our app on your Apple and Android devices, and you can also visit our website at jis.gov.jm for more information. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.